life, death, love, hate, fact, fiction. They're all eventual. You know? Here are 19 reasons to read. Everything's eventual. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I'm taking you through the works of Stephen King in chronological order and giving you 19 reasons to read every single one of his books. If that sounds like something you would like more of, do click around the rest of my channel. You'll find plenty more videos, and there's a few specials thrown in there too. And if you like what you see elsewhere on my channel and you're not already subscribed, why not change that? And then you'll definitely not miss anything in the future. In this video, we're up to 2002's Everything's Eventual, a collection of 14 stories that I have 3 copies of because, well, rainbow editions. So this is King's 4th short story collection, coming after Night Shift, Skeleton Crew, and Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I've got videos for all of those elsewhere on my channel. Do go and check those out when you get a moment. Now, as I've done with those previous collections, I'm going to shake up my 19 reasons slightly. Instead of giving you 19 reasons to read this, I'm going to give you 9 reasons to read it, and then count down my 10 favourite stories from the 14 collected within this. And you know what that means? No spoilers, so you can stick with me all the way to the end. Sound good? Okay, let's do 9 reasons to read Everything's Eventual, and then my top 10 of the stories that are collected in it. So as is the way with King's story collections, this one is great value. 14 stories collected within, and it's a great opportunity for you to dip your toe in and out of different styles of King writing. There's scary, there's weird, there's drama, there's historical fiction, and there's not one but 2 stories with Dark Tower connections too. Of the 14 stories gathered in this one, 11 of them were written before the minivan accident that almost claimed King's life. The 3 that were written after the accident, Riding the Bullet, All That You Love Will Be Carried Away, and The Death of Jack Hamilton, all deal in some way or other with death. Coincidence? I don't think so. So sticking with Riding the Bullet, that's a particularly interesting one to mention because that was a book that was initially released as an ebook. And in fact, it was the first mass market ebook ever put out there. As King has shown throughout his career, he's not afraid to try something new, different, and a bit experimental. And that's what he was trying with Riding the Bullet. Although, thankfully, it is collected here as well. So talking unusual formats, the stories 1408 and In the Death Room actually made their debuts as audio stories on an audio collection called Blood and Smoke that King put out a few years before this and was packaged kind of like a pack of cigarettes, had some original stories on there, and it's something I really want to get hold of, so I will be scouring eBay for it, even though I can't play tapes now. So the physical audio book for Everything's Eventual is another interesting talking point. So you had Blood and Smoke, so the 2 stories I mentioned previously, and Lunch at the Gotham Cafe, which had been printed but hadn't appeared as an audiobook up until that point. There's part 1 of your audiobook. But then there were 2 other collections. 5 stories featured under the name Everything's Eventual, and 4 more under the name The Man in the Black Suit. That then left LT's Theory of Pets and Riding the Bullet, which became available as their own audio versions. Complicated, particularly when, after all that, it was all lumped together into one audiobook anyway. So the way King decided what running order to put these stories in was pretty fun. He used a pack of cards, and let me read direct from the intro to give you a sense of how he did it. So, here's what he said. What I did was take all the spades out of a deck of cards plus a joker. Ace to King equals 1 to 13, Joker equals 14. I shuffled the cards and dealt them. The order in which they came out of the deck became the order of the stories based on their position in the list my publisher sent me. And it actually created a very nice balance between literary stories and the all-out screamers. I also added an explanatory note before and after each story depending on which seemed the more fitting position. Next collection, selected by Tarot. I don't think he actually did that for Just After Sunset, but hey, we'll find out when we get there. Random pop trivia for you. The album Everything's Eventual, featuring the single Everything's Eventual by the pop duo Appleton, yes, the Appleton sisters from 90s girl group All Saints, That album and single was named after Everything's Eventual because Natalie Appleton is a big constant reader. Who'd have thought it? No, I've never heard it, and no, I will not be seeking it out. So this collection has spawned a few adaptations. 1408 and Riding the Bullet were both made into feature films, while Autopsy Room 4 and The Road Virus Heads North both featured in the Nightmares and Dreamscapes one-off miniseries from the mid-noughts. And actually, they're all worth watching, even if Riding the Bullet is, you know, a little bit shit. So before I count down my 10 favourite stories from this collection, my final reason for you to read this thing is because it often gets overlooked in King's work, and I can't understand why, because the quality of the stories in it are so high. The only thing I can think is that right after this, he finished his run to the Dark Tower, which was obviously a massive achievement and got lots of press and lots of attention in his world. And perhaps it just kind of swamps this collection. But this collection's incredible. If you've never checked it out, change that. And if you've read it once and forgotten about it, change that. Reread it. I got so much out of rereading these, I can't tell you. Just let some random helicopter that's shaking the floor of my house fly over. I don't know, tractors one week, fucking helicopters the other. Okay, so time to count down my 10 favourite stories from Everything's Eventual. Let's go! At 10, LT's Theory of Pets, a quirky little story about a marriage falling apart and the pets at the heart of it. It's fine, it's interesting, I like it more than the other stories that have not made my list, but that's about it. Number 9, That Feeling, You Can Only Say What It Is in French. Now I love the Final Destination vibes of this one, and I really do enjoy it as a very quick snack, but it's probably too short to justify being any higher up my list. But from this point on, we're at stories that I really do like a lot. So at 8, Lunch at the Gotham Cafe, a story about an interesting lunch hour and a very difficult waiter that goes all kinds of crazy considering how short it is. It really does get under your skin. So at 7, 1408, a story about a haunted hotel room, a suicide hotel room, whatever. A spooky room and one writer's quest to spend the night there. It's discombobulating, disorientating, frightening, and really does hook you in. And from this point, we're talking A-grade short stories all the way in. So at 6, All That You Love Will Be Carried Away. Probably the most literary thing in this collection, and it feels really personal as well. It's this mournful story of a travelling salesman who makes a habit of noting down interesting pieces of graffiti that he sees. Fucking tractor just gone past. Noting down interesting pieces of graffiti that he sees while he's out on the road. It really is quite affecting, and on reread in particular, I really enjoyed this one. At number 5, Everything's Eventual. A nice bit of Dark Tower backstory that also works brilliantly as a cracking little standalone story on its own of a somewhat unusual assassin. At 4, The Man in the Black Suit. This one's short, sharp, spooky, and I flippin' love it. At 3, Riding the Bullet. We talked about it earlier. A great road trip novella that features plenty of ponderings about death, as well as lots of ghosts, and a crotch-grabbing old man. What more could you want? Also great for an October read. At 2, Autopsy Room 4. Imagine waking up in the middle of your own autopsy and being unable to do anything about it. That's the hook for this one. And at number 1, my favourite story in Everything's Eventual is The Road Virus Heads North. A weird, spooky story about an author who buys a strange painting on a whim whilst driving home, and then that painting turns out to be much more than it originally seemed. This one's nasty, scary, and ever so slightly silly, which is everything you could want in a Stephen King short story, right? So there we go, my deep dive into Everything's Eventual, an underappreciated and overlooked collection of excellent stories. If you've read it, let me know your favourite from this one in the comments below, because as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty much all excellent. Thanks as ever for stopping by my channel and watching my videos. If you like this one and you haven't been here before, do stick around, click around. There's more videos where I go into 19 reasons to read each of his books, and there's a few specials as well. thinking off the top of my head of specials you might like, maybe my top 10 King books, which I'll stick up there, that's a good one to start, and there's plenty of others to look at as well. And I've even done a review of his most recent book, Gwendy's Final Task, which you can also find right there. Go check it out. If you want to come and say hi on Instagram, I'm at Dave Musson. Always happy to talk King in my DMs. So if you want to come and chat everything's Eventual there, or anything else he's written, do come and say hi. Next time, we've got a date with a spooky car. Nope, not that spooky car. A different spooky car. I'll see you then.